So a lot of people have reached out to me today and asking, Chase, following Haason Reddick's trade request from the New York Jets, should the San Francisco 49ers inquire about bringing him in? So let's talk about it here on the Niners Report. I'm Chase Sr. Really appreciate all of you for watching. As the Jets edge rusher has not yet played for the New York Jets, has not reported to training camp, has requested a trade after New York acquired him in a deal earlier this offseason from the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, why this is of news for the San Francisco 49ers? This Niners team, a little bit light as far as depth goes at defensive end, and really overall along this defensive line, especially after Drake Jackson last week was ruled out for the rest of the season after undergoing that knee surgery last year. Now, you look at this Niners defensive line depth chart, I think the starters are in a good spot. Leonard Floyd has had 4 straight years of 9+ sacks. Malik Collins replaces Eric Armstead. He's a lot cheaper. He's also been more available and productive than Armstead over the last 2 years. Javon Hargrave in a bad year last year still had 7 sacks. He's in better shape this year, and hopefully he's able to turn it around and live up to that 4-year, $84 million contract extension or contract that he signed in free agency 2 off seasons ago. Nick Bosa is one of the best edge rushers in the game. Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago, and then last year, still very dominant, but the sack numbers did go down. But as far as the depth goes at defensive end, Robert Beal, completely unproven, didn't really do much against the Tennessee Titans in the Niners preseason opener. Austin Bryant behind him. Yetur Gross-Matos. He could play edge, he can play defensive tackle, but he hasn't lived up to the lofty expectations of being a former second-round pick by the Carolina Panthers out of Penn State a few years ago. I think that Chris Kosera can really develop him into a good player, but he hasn't done it yet. And then you have Alex Barrett as another depth piece at defensive end for San Francisco. So bringing in Haason Reddick has piqued the interest of some fans who have asked me if the Niners should go about this in a way where they try to call the New York Jets and try to make a move. The Reddick timeline has been crazy. Eagles traded him to the Jets for a conditional 3rd, which can turn into a 2nd. Philadelphia then signed the Jets' best edge rusher from last year, who had 10 sacks, in Bryce Huff. Then the Jets lost Huff. Now they might lose Haason Reddick. Haason Reddick has not reported to training camp, and now he demands a trade. A lot of people familiar with Haason Reddick because he is the player who injured Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. Reddick in the final year of his 3-year, $45 million deal. $15 million average annual value, but this year, non-guaranteed. He has now missed 21 days of training camp in 1 preseason game, so he has incurred $50,000 per day fines, and then he's also been hit with the game check, so he has been fined by the New York Jets $1.7 million, and the Jets came out with the statement. General Manager Joe Douglas said, "We are not trading Haason Reddick," and they won't give him a contract extension until he reports to camp because they don't negotiate with players who don't report to training camp. It's a messy situation for New York. There's no doubt about it. As for the Jets statement here, we have informed Haason Reddick that we will not trade him, that he is expected to be here with his teammates, and that he will continue to be fined per the CBA if he does not report. Since the trade discussions back in March, we have been clear, direct, and consistent with our position. Our focus will remain on the guys that we have here as we prepare for the regular season. So this is just peak Jets, and I put this out on my X page. The Jets are going to jet. They lose their top edge rusher to the Philadelphia Eagles. They trade for Haason Reddick with the Philadelphia Eagles. They gave up a 3rd-round pick for Reddick's services. They were understanding at the time that Reddick was looking for a new deal. He told them, according to reports, "I'm not reporting unless I get a contract extension." And these contract extension talks have either not happened and or they have fallen through. The Jets won't pay him and now they get this. So with that, we pop up today's poll question. Let's hear from you down in the comments section here. Should the Niners trade for Haason Reddick? T for trade or P for pass? As for the Niners cap situation, a lot of people very curious about this, and I have you covered here on this show because this is what we do. The Niners, despite a lot of people thinking they don't have any money, have the most cap space in the National Football League at $51.9 million. But next year, San Francisco is $38.9 million over the cap. The good news is cap space can be rolled over, so that can help absorb the blow in 2025, and there are plenty of ways to free up some cash flow, cuts, trades, contract extensions, restructured deals. You can backload some contracts, a bunch of ways to free up some money on the salary cap. It's a real thing, but there's always a way to beat the system. The issue with the Niners, in addition to some of the future financial concerns, is that Haason Reddick wants a new deal, and he could be asking for about $25 million per year. You're already paying Nick Bosa $34 million per year. You gave Javon Hargrave that monster contract. So $25 million average annual value for Haason Reddick, a lot of coin. But from his standpoint, he's looking at players like Danielle Hunter, who has the same amount of sacks as Reddick does the last 2 years, 27 apiece. And Danielle Hunter did not get a long-term deal, but he did get a 2-year, $49 million deal from the Houston Texans, and they're both similar in age. Hunter is 29. Reddick is right around that age as well. But for San Francisco, they're probably looking at this roster saying, we might be light as far as edge rusher depth. We might need another defensive tackle. But Haason Reddick wants to get paid, and we have unresolved situations contractually with Brandon Aiyuk, who's looking for a new deal, and Trent Williams, who's either looking for a new deal, guaranteed money, or a contract extension. But why it's intriguing for so many, including me, is that a Nick Bosa-Haason Reddick edge duo would be absolutely nasty in getting after the quarterback. But Reddick is not good against the run. Javon Hargrave is not good against the run. The Niners as a defense in 2023 were not good against the run. So a big emphasis for San Francisco this offseason was remaking the defensive line and bringing in players who are better against the run. Jordan Elliott as a backup. Malik Collins is up and down against the run, but Leonard Floyd can set the edge. Your Turcos Matos is a big body with an 80-plus inch wingspan. Nick Bosa, pretty good against the run. So while the Niners are short on depth at edge rusher and defensive tackle, I don't think they resolve that lack of depth with a star trade. I think it's more of a player who is on a periphery of a roster. He doesn't make one team and he's a training camp cut, or they make a minor trade, not a blockbuster trade like this one would be. Last 4 years, though, Reddick has been highly productive. He's one of few players in the NFL with 10-plus sacks over the last 4 years. Myles Garrett is in that category. Haason Reddick as well. 12.5 with Arizona in 2020. So a lot of Niner fans very familiar with what Reddick brings to the table because he played in the division. He goes to Carolina after that, 11 sacks. He had 16 with Philadelphia in 2022 en route to Philadelphia making it to the Super Bowl. And then 11 last year where his production did drop off as far as the sack numbers go. But there wasn't a huge drop off as far as the Pro Football Focus numbers go. In 2023, overall grade of 75.2. The year before that, 81.1. Pass rush grade, 75.2. The year before that, 90. But pressures, 67 and 68 the last 2 years. Hurries and hits, 41 and 13, 40 and 10. And then the sacks go down by about 5. So certainly an interesting conversation. I appreciate everybody who reached out to me and asking, Chase, should the Niners trade for Haason Reddick? It's a fun idea in theory, but I don't think it's something that San Francisco is going to pull the trigger on because of the playing style, but also the money that he's going to demand. Before we leave, Make sure you give me a follow on X and Instagram. On X, approaching 14,000 subscribers, sitting at that Brock Purdy number right now. And then on Instagram, things have really taken off for me since December. I had 3,000 followers. We're approaching 32,000. A lot of that because of all of you Niner fans supporting me there. A lot of short-form content on there in addition to the long-form content here on this show on YouTube. Give me a follow. Don't be a stranger. Say what's up. Hop in the comment section, and we'll catch you next time here on the Niners Report.